Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Everything Crypto Show, where we bring you the latest and most important news moving the crypto markets. Now, I am very excited to bring you all today's video because we are going to be talking about CRO, which has had an incredibly bullish month. So this alt is up 55% since mid-June. And a lot of this positive price action can be attributed to the news that came out earlier this month that the Truth Social Crypto Blue Chip ETF will be allocating 5% of the fund to this altcoin. Now, since this announcement, the rumor mill has been circulating that CRO's inclusion in this crypto blue chip ETF could finally be the catalyst to push Binance to actually list this altcoin on their platform. So in today's video, we're going to talk about why this would be a massive deal for CRO and why I believe that just this Binance listing alone could potentially lead to CRO mirroring a move similar to what it made in the last cycle, where it pretty much did not make any big movements until about mid-July all the way till the end of the bull cycle, when it did eventually go on this huge run up to 96 cents. So that was about an 850% move from mid-June, mid-July up to the top that happened in late November. So if you are a holder of this altcoin, you're definitely going to want to hear what we are talking about in today's video. And before we get into the content, just a friendly reminder that I am not a financial advisor. I am simply here for your crypto news and entertainment purposes. If you do find the content informative and entertaining, please consider hitting that sub and like button, drop in a comment. It really does help me with the YouTube algorithm. It shows me you guys are enjoying the regular crypto updates. And as always, thank you to the entire community. I love and appreciate you all. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. I think the first thing to discuss is, why has CRO not been listed on Binance yet, okay? At the moment, this altcoin is sitting at rank number 30 in terms of its market cap. There are altcoins that have been listed on Binance that are not even in the top 100. So this article does a pretty good job of breaking down why Binance has been so reluctant to list CRO. Honestly, I think the biggest reason is that, Crypto.com is a direct competitor to Binance. And just like Binance has their native BNB altcoin, Crypto.com has their native CRO altcoin. And yeah, they for sure would just be listing, a competitor to their own native altcoin on the platform. With that said, Crypto.com does have BNB listed on their platform, while Binance has clearly been pretty reluctant to list their rival's altcoin. And they basically just talk about that here, saying that it could just be sort of a competition thing, listing the rival token. However, at the end of the day, Binance is still a business, and I think that, if they do see demand for CRO, if they do see a lot of volume coming to this altcoin, they are going to want a piece of that for themselves, as they will make money on the buy and sell side of things, right? And I do think that something that has really been suppressing CRO, honestly, since its inception, is the fact that it has never been listed on Binance, okay? If CRO gets listed on Binance, that could just potentially open up billions of dollars in volume to this altcoin, right? I mean, if we want to take a look at why this would be such a big deal for CRO, you can see right here that Binance holds 180 billion in dollars, 180 billion in assets under management. So you can see here OKX is in second place with 27.764 bill. Binance has a massive lead over all the competitors, just over 6 times the assets that second place actually has. And you can see as we go down, the competition does get a lot tighter over here. But yeah, Binance is just the clear winner in this space in terms of the actual assets under management, right? So what we can also do is take a look at the spot volume as of the time of this recording. And yeah, once again, Binance just a massive winner here. No competition, no close competition anyways, with 44.689 billion in spot volume compared to BitGet in second place with 8.58 bill. We can take a look at 24-hour open interest. We have Binance in first once again, surprise, surprise, with 37.226 bill in 24-hour open interest compared to Bybit with 24 bill. So Not as big of a lead here when we compare to the other categories like the spot volume and the assets under management. But, no doubt still a massive lead for Binance, okay? So yeah, I do want to just, talk about this True Social ETF for a second. Every single other altcoin and obviously Bitcoin is listed on Binance here except for CRO. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, a lot of these altcoins that are ranked well below CRO are also listed on Binance. So I do think that this crypto blue chip ETF actually coming out could potentially be the catalyst for Binance to finally fast track a Chronos listing. And I do think that based on all the bullish news we have been seeing lately for CRO, that yeah, just this Binance listing alone may be the realization for a lot of people that, the entire time that CRO has been trading, it has not actually even been tradable on Binance. I think could just help drive a lot of attention towards this altcoin. And, from a business side of things, I do believe that it is this competition between Crypto.com and Binance that is probably a reason they haven't listed CRO. But if we're being honest, if we compare Binance to Crypto.com, there really is not much competition here. Binance is just so far ahead of the pack. And additionally, I don't think that listing CRO would necessarily take volume away from their native altcoin either. I think that, if people want to buy BNB, they're going to buy it. And if they want to buy CRO, they're just going to go somewhere else to buy it, right? So, yeah, I just think from a business perspective, like if somebody really wants to buy CRO, they could find a way. And at the end of the day, Binance could just benefit from those buy and sell fees if they did opt to list it. And I really don't think that it would detract or take away anything from their own native altcoin, which once again, sitting at over $100 billion market cap as of the time of this recording, with CRO coin sitting at about a $4 billion market cap. So BNB is like, 25 times the market cap of CRO as well. And I think it would make sense for Binance to finally list this altcoin. If they were to do this, I think it could lead to some really nice bullish price action for this altcoin. And speaking of the price action, I do want to wrap things up taking a look at that. So what I've done is put us on a log scale here. And there's two things I want to talk about. The first one is the fact that, yes, we are finally back above this 10-cent region. I've been saying it, for a while here with CRO. This 10-cent level has been and continues to be the most important area for CRO on the chart until it can get above this next significant level, which I believe is at the 20-cent zone right over here. But if we take a look at the prior bull market, right, you can see that 10 cents did act as support for CRO right over there. And that actually is, CRO came back down here to about that 10-cent zone. And then after this final bounce off of 10 cents in 2021, we then saw CRO go on this massive 850% rally up to that 96-cent area. Then in the bear market year, we actually saw 10 cents acting as a pretty strong area of support for CRO. That is until we saw the collapse of FTX, okay? The collapse of FTX did lead to a lot of FUD targeted directly towards crypto exchanges. There was some FUD towards Crypto.com as well, and I do think this did have a negative impact on their native altcoin. So we saw CRO actually break below 10 cents, bottom out about a year later at 5 cents. Now, if you guys were with the channel back then, I was saying I believed CRO to be undervalued at this 5-cent level. Just because this entire drawdown here, this drawdown right here, I believe did happen as a result of the FTX collapse and the FUD towards Crypto.com, which I thought was unwarranted. And in hindsight, looking back on it, it was unwarranted. Crypto.com has only continued to grow their business, expand their operations. So what I find interesting and just really kind of like the last, just some really strong confirmation that 10 cents is important is that after we saw CRO bottom out and then finally go on a rally, you can see right here on the weekly candles where it was unable to break above, and surprise, surprise, it was the 10-cent level. So a pretty textbook, level of support being flipped into resistance. And yeah, you can see here that each time CRO has broken above 10 cents, it has led to some pretty nice rallies. The first rally was about an 80% rally up to 18 cents. The next rally was about a 130% rally up to 23 cents. And then, CRO, after pulling back, was here once again, facing resistance at that 10-cent region. So this is now the third time since this bull market has began that CRO has actually closed a weekly candle above 10 cents. And, the prior two times this happened, we did see some really bullish momentum for this altcoin. So if we do see some sort of market reversal, if we do see some selling pressure, I would be looking for the 10-cent zone to hold. And to the upside, what I would be looking for is just for CRO to get back above this 12.5 to 13-cent region over here and really just run back up to the 20-cent zone. In my opinion, that is the next significant area of support or resistance for CRO. This 12.5 cent level is pretty important. It was some resistance over here on the weekly candle wicks, once again over here. And you can actually see here that on this weekly candle, it is facing some resistance here once again, currently pulled back to about 11.8 cents. But if we zoom out and take a look on higher time frames, it seems pretty clear to me personally, I believe anyways, that 20 cents is the next important area for this altcoin. So, if we can see CRO close above 10 cents on the weekly, the next level I would be looking for is that 20-cent zone next. And in the case of a reversal, I would be looking for it to hold this line of support at the 10-cent level. So let me know what you guys think about CRO coin in the comments down below. I do want to hear your thoughts on this altcoin. Are you bullish, bearish, neutral? Let me know. And on that note, I hope you all enjoyed the content in today's video. I hope you are all staying happy, safe, and healthy, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace out for now.